If you're missing a tooth, you've probably heard of dental implants before. Like most people, you've probably heard different opinions about dental implants and you might not know what to think. So in this video, I want to go over everything that you would need to know about a dental implant. So let's start with what a dental implant actually is. A dental implant is a replacement option for a missing tooth. So let's look over at this diagram here. You have 3 healthy teeth that are all in your bone. So let's imagine this black line here is your gum line, where your gums are shown, and these roots are all hidden in your bone. So you would only really see the top half. These are called your crowns, where your actual teeth are shown. Now let's say that we had to say bye to this tooth. This tooth had a cavity or something happened to it, it broke, and it had to come out. Now looking over here, you have a missing tooth. If you were to just leave this gap alone, what would happen? Well, first it would be harder to chew because now you have a gap here when you're chewing your foods. Now you might not be able to chew as well. You have to rely on your other teeth. But also what happens is these neighboring teeth will start to drift in, and then the tooth that normally bites here will start to hyper erupt. It'll start to grow into this missing space. So it's a good idea to replace it to prevent that from happening. So that's where a dental implant comes in. So a dental implant is literally this screw that goes in the bone, and it is mimicking your root. So instead of having your actual root here, now you have an implant. And then eventually we can attach a crown that goes on top of this dental implant. And it's basically a brand new tooth that you have there. Now there are 3 parts to an implant. So there's the actual implant itself, which is the part that goes in the bone. Now typically this is made out of titanium. Now there are other options, but usually like 99% of the time we're going to use a titanium implant. Then there is the connector, the middle part, the abutment. This is what connects the implant to the actual tooth. And then you have the crown. The crown is just like when you get a dental crown or something that basically covers your tooth. This is what goes over the actual implant and replaces your tooth. So the actual implant is the foundation mimicking the root, the abutment is the connector part, and then the crown is the last part. Now what does this process actually look like? So the time frame might depend on different things. So typically what we're gonna do is, if it's a molar, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this tooth out, and now you have these roots that used to be in the bone, there's a hole there. So typically we do what's called a bone graft, where we put some bone graft material into this hole when we take the tooth out, and that prevents you from losing any bone, because you want to make sure you have enough bone so you can put the screw in there. Otherwise it's going to be a lot harder. So typically we'll let that heal at least 3 months before we can put the screw in there. So after 3 months, after taking this tooth out, then we can put this titanium screw, we can put that implant in there. But then we want that implant to stay there for another 3 months at least before we can put a tooth on it. So when you go from taking this tooth out to actually getting this tooth on top of this implant, you're looking at least 6 months. Now sometimes you can do it faster. Sometimes you can take this tooth out, put an implant in the same day, and then you save yourself 3 months, so then 3 months later, then you can put a tooth on it. At the same time, sometimes we have to delay things. Sometimes we have to wait like 6 months after taking the tooth out to put the implant, and then we have to wait another 6 months to actually put the tooth back on. It depends on a lot of things, and that is where we can get kind of technical. So if you are getting a dental implant, I'll let you go over that with the dentist. Now, who is a good candidate for dental implants? Well, ideally, the healthier you are, then the better this process is going to be and the faster it can be. First off, you want to make sure you have healthy teeth. You want to make sure you have healthy gums, healthy bone, because obviously you need enough bone to place the implant, but also if you don't have healthy gums, then you can literally get gum disease around this implant. And now you're going to be wasting your money if this implant fails. And also the rest of your health should be ideal as well. Now, obviously it doesn't have to be perfect, but there's a couple key things that we're looking out for. So one, if you're a smoker, that is a huge red flag. And then obviously if you have severe gum disease, that's another red flag. But also if you combine that smoking with alcohol, that can be detrimental. Or for example, if you have uncontrolled diabetes, that can really slow down the healing and maybe prevent the implant from ever integrating. It might lead to that implant failing. If your health history is overlooked, that could be a big reason why your implant fails. And oftentimes, if you have a healthy implant and you were healthy at the time, but then something changes in your health history later on in life, then that could be a reason that the implant fails later on. But typically, if everything else is good and the implant process goes well and you take care of it, the implant should not fail. Long-term wise, implants have a success rate of about 95%. That is pretty high in dentistry. But just like anything, things can fail. There is always a chance that something might fail. But the good thing with dental implants is the failures usually aren't that big of a deal. Like let's say that this implant does fail and now you have to take it out. Well, all you have to do is really just put some more bone graft in there, kind of clean everything out, let it heal, and then you can try it again. Now, hopefully in that process, you can address why the implant failed in the first place so that we don't have to run into that issue again. But like I said, it's really rare for that to happen in the first place. Now, what about like the pain and recovery process? Because a lot of people ask me about that too. So let's start with the first appointment, when you're gonna get this tooth taken out. This is usually where most of the pain is during the whole process. So during this process, you'll have to get numb this day where we take the tooth out, and then that process of taking the tooth out is obviously going to be traumatic because now you're taking something out of your body. And as this whole process is healing, because now you're putting a foreign substance in there, you're putting that bone graft in there, all this stuff is going on, there's going to be a lot of inflammation, you might get some bruising and swelling, so this process might take like a week or so to start to feel better. Now that being said, I've seen plenty of cases where we take a tooth out and we do this whole process and people are totally fine. They go to work the next day, they act like nothing ever happened. But also sometimes people are in pain for like a week. A lot of times it just depends on the person. And with the implant placement, again, it is going to be a surgery because this screw is going to go into the bone. And typically that means we have to cut the gums away a little bit and then put that screw, and then we have to suture the gums back together. So obviously you're going to be numb during this visit as well. But to be honest, most patients are surprised about how little it actually hurts to recover from this. But again, you can expect some soreness or discomfort for about a week or so. And usually most of the pain, people are surprised, happens between days 3 and 5. Not the first day and not like the 7th day, usually in the middle. And the reason for that is days 3 through 5 are when your peak inflammation is. So any surgery you get, your peak inflammation happens during that day 3 to 5 period. So that's where you're going to have most of that pain. And that's where you can also get a lot of that bruising and swelling from that surgery. But then after that implant is healed, after we make sure that the implant is integrated and doing well, then you would probably come in for an implant impression or an implant scan. And that is where we take an impression basically of where this implant is, and then we send that to a lab who's going to design your crown. So that part is super easy. And then you're going to come in for the actual crown delivery. Now sometimes these crowns are actually screwed in where there's a hole from the top of this implant crown where we just screw it in, and then once we make sure everything is good, then we'll just put a filling material over that hole. The good thing with doing it that way, and that's actually the way that I place implant crowns, is that if something ever goes wrong, like a screw gets loose or something, it's really easy to go back through that crown and then unscrew that crown and then fix it up. Other times what people do is instead of screwing in the crown, they actually cement it. So this is how a typical crown delivery would be done. They would put some like permanent cement inside of this crown, stick it onto the implant, and then it's glued on. The hard part with that is if you ever have to take this crown off, now you pretty much have to cut the whole crown off, and that's going to be a lot of cutting, and then you probably need to pay for a new crown. But either way, that appointment is also pretty easy for patients. But once you get to this point, once everything is done, it's really important to take care of it. And your dentist will probably go over some steps, but I always recommend brushing and flossing and also using a water flosser. So obviously we recommend brushing and flossing your teeth, but at least around this implant, I also recommend using a water flosser because the attachment of implants versus natural teeth is a little bit different. It's really important to flush out those gums around a dental implant, and that's where that water flosser does a really good job, and that's going to prevent any bacteria from getting around this implant, and it's going to prevent any bone loss and really make sure that the implant stays for a really long time. Now let's go over the other options. So I always say a dental implant is the best way right now to replace a missing tooth. Until we can actually grow a brand new tooth in your jaw, an implant's probably going to stay that way. Now another option that is actually still fixed in the mouth that doesn't come out but doesn't involve any surgery is a dental bridge. So a dental bridge will look something like this. I'm going to show a diagram of it too. But basically, a dental bridge is when you replace this missing tooth, this one right here that was taken out, by connecting another tooth to the tooth behind it and the tooth in front of it. The way to do that is you have to crown these two neighboring teeth. Now, first of all, you have to have a tooth on both sides of the missing space in order to get a bridge. So once this tooth goes, now you have to crown this tooth, and then you're going to use those two teeth as anchors to replace this missing tooth with another crown. So this is a 3-unit bridge because there's 3 units. There's 1, 2, and 3. 2 of these units are anchors, and 1 unit is in the middle as the replacement. These two anchors are called an abutment, and this middle part that's replacing the middle tooth is called a pontic. You can probably think of a few problems from this already, but let's say these two teeth are healthy. Now you have to drill on them. So now you're removing healthy tooth structure just to replace this missing tooth. But also, since this whole thing is connected, now you're relying on these two teeth. So let's say you get a cavity on this tooth or a cavity on this tooth. Yes, you can still get cavities underneath these crowns. Then you have to replace the whole bridge. So why would someone want to get a dental bridge? Sometimes people want to get it to avoid a dental surgery. Sometimes people aren't candidates for dental implants, so they have to get a bridge. Sometimes people don't have enough bone, for example. And sometimes people get a bridge because it's cheaper. But think about it, it's only cheaper initially. Because let's say one of these two things fail, now you have to get a brand new bridge. So paying for two bridges might be more expensive now than paying for a dental implant. And also the long-term success with dental bridges is not as high as dental implants. This is how people used to replace a missing tooth. Nowadays, people are leaning more towards dental implants just because it's a much better option. The other problem with this is it's a lot harder to clean. So instead of brushing and flossing like normal, since all these are connected, you can't just floss through this. You actually have to thread some floss underneath and then kind of slide that underneath this pontic to clean that. You can also try using a water flosser, but it's a good idea to use both. Because again, the last thing you want is a cavity to get underneath the bridge. And a lot of times it happens right in this margin here because these are areas that people don't really clean so well with the bridge. Now, another option to replace a missing tooth and probably more missing teeth if you're gonna do this is a removable partial denture. This option is not fixed. It's not stuck in the mouth. It's something you take in and out. And it's kind of like a regular denture, only it's only replacing specific missing teeth. And it's just something that would go slide in there when you want to have the teeth, and then at night or anytime you want to take it out, you would take it out. The other benefit I didn't mention yet with a dental implant is a dental implant is kind of like a bone holder. So a dental bridge and that removable partial denture, it will not preserve the bone. And what happens when you lose a missing tooth is once that root is out of the bone, that bone will start to decrease. That bone, you'll start to lose that bone. I know your neighboring teeth will start to drift, everything else will start to drift. A bridge will prevent that from happening. But at the same time, since there's no root in here, no chewing action or anything, there's nothing basically preventing that bone loss. Your bone needs to have some sort of stimulation in order to stay. So if you take this tooth out and don't do anything, now you're gonna start to lose this bone, and that can make it harder to replace in the future. It's also why when people get dentures, when they lose all their teeth, why they get this sunken face look. It's because all of their bone is just kind of pulling away. They're losing all their bone, they're losing all their support in their face, and now they're starting to look a lot older. But now with the dental implant, since it's actually in the bone, this is going to preserve the bone. So this implant locks into the bone, so now you don't lose any bone. It helps basically maintain the bone that you have. So just another added bonus. Now the only difference with a dental implant or really any tooth replacement option versus a regular tooth is the regular tooth, since you have these roots here, you have these pressure sensors. You can kind of feel when you're putting pressure and chewing on food. With the implant, it does all the other things that a regular tooth would do. It's its own individual tooth. It feels like a natural tooth. The only difference is you don't get these pressure sensors. This implant is locked into the bone just like your root. It's a little different, but you don't have those pressure sensors around this implant. So when you're chewing food, it's just like you're chomping on it. You just can't sense it. Now, if you just have one dental implant and the rest of your teeth are natural, you probably won't even notice it. But if all your teeth are dental implants, that's probably a difference that you'll have to get used to. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below. And I will see you guys in the next video. What if your dentist could spot early warning signs of cognitive decline or Alzheimer's by just looking in your mouth? A new study just found a strong link between oral inflammation and changes that go on in the brain. So make sure you stick around because I'm gonna break down the full study and go over what exactly they found and what it means for you.